In 2016, Steph Curry was the NBA's first unanimous MVP. It was arguably one of the best seasons any player has ever had. You would have to do some heavy searching into some big names to find a player that had a better season than his. And you may be able to find somebody who had a better overall season, but I doubt you'll find someone with a better three-point shooting season. He set the record for most threes in 1 year, shattered it as a matter of fact. His three-point percentage was only 0.1% off from his personal best. The year was terrific for him in other areas as well. It was his personal highest 2-point and overall field goal percentages, and he shot over 90% from free throws, which made him a member of the 50-40-90 club. It was also his personal highest rebound, steal, and point average. His 30 points per game made him the highest scorer in the league. His team finished with 73 season wins, the most ever, and fell 1 game short of winning the finals. These are just phenomenal numbers. Even if you dislike Curry or Golden State, you can't deny the numbers. I think the reason so many people used to dislike him or the team is simply just because they were so good. But this year it's different. Across the board, his numbers are lower. He went from 402 made threes to 324, from 45% three-point shooting to 41, 50% overall shooting to 47, 30 points per game to 25. In a 1-year span, he's gone from unanimous MVP to not even being brought up in the discussion. His team is still the best out there, but didn't win quite as many games as the year before. When brainstorming for possible reasons for the decline, I thought of 3 big possibilities. None of them are too complicated. One is that it's just luck. He and the team were just lucky last year, and this year they didn't experience the same luck. The team lost 6 extra games this year, but maybe there were 6 games last year that could have swung a different way, and just didn't. There's 6 games they won by 1 possession last year, and 4 games they lost by 1 possession this year. So maybe if those last possessions went a little bit differently, the records would be about the same. I think it's a legitimate theory. It also could have been from KD missing 20 games in the season, and it could be a legitimate theory for Curry individually, but personally, I don't think it's just luck. I would believe it for 1 or 2 stats, or if they were all really similar, just a tiny bit lower, but it's hard to look at significantly lower stats across the board and blame it on bad luck. I'm not saying it's the worst decline I've ever seen, but it's still a significant drop. He just doesn't seem to have those huge moments and incredible games that we saw from him before. Those games that made him seem unstoppable. I've seen many more of those games from Russell Westbrook this year. An average night for Curry this year is like an off night for him last year. If it was just luck, it wouldn't come through like this. The second possible reason for the decline is the one you probably thought of right away. Golden State added a new player to the team this year, Kevin Durant. I think what most of us are thinking here is that KD is an MVP level player himself. He's going to have the ball a lot, he's going to take a lot of shots, and basically the other players are going to have to lessen their roles in order for KD to do what he does. So let's see if this happened like we all thought it would. The things I would most expect to be impacted from a situation like this are points and shot attempts. The thought being that Durant is taking shots and scoring points that would have otherwise been scored by others. When checking to see if this was the case, I took a very simplistic way of looking at it. The way I see it is that this year Durant scored a total of 1,555 points. The player Durant replaced in the starting 5 was Harrison Barnes. Last year, Harrison scored 774 points for Golden State. So I look at 774 of Durant's points as replacing the contribution Barnes would have made this year. Klay Thompson was very consistent between last year and this year, only scoring 29 fewer points. So I'm saying that 29 of Durant's 1,555 were taken from Thompson. Draymond Green saw a significant drop, scoring 355 less than the previous year. We can say that Durant took those 355 from Green. Curry's points went down by 376. Now there were other less impactful roster changes, as well as a slightly different team total for points between the 2 years, so that allows us a little bit of a margin of error. When looking at it this way, it appears that Durant was indeed responsible for Curry's decrease in points. For shot attempts, I did the same thing. Over the year, Durant attempted 1,026 shots. Barnes made 633 attempts last year that Durant replaced. In addition, he took 10 from Thompson, 169 from Green, and 155 from Curry, resulting in 59 of Durant's shots unaccounted for, which again can be explained by other roster changes and differences in total shot attempts for the team between the 2 years. According to these numbers, Durant essentially stole 155 shot attempts from Curry. I'm concluding that Durant is responsible for a good portion of Curry's fewer shots and points. And what didn't help the situation is that Klay's numbers were very similar between the years. Durant didn't take many attempts or points from him, so he had to get them from Curry. Last year, Curry scored 25% of his team's points. This year, it was only 21%. This could also be seen from a different angle. Remember which player Durant played with last year, and how much he's improved since Durant left? Here's a chart that compares the scoring of Durant's teammates over the past 2 years. With Durant on the team, Westbrook tied for 8th in scoring, and with Durant on his team, Curry was 10th in scoring. When Durant left, Westbrook went up to number 1, but before Durant left, Curry was number 1. When Durant left, Westbrook went from not being a serious MVP candidate to probably being the number 1 MVP candidate. On the other end, Durant brought Curry down from being MVP to not being a serious candidate. Now, of course, the most important thing is team success, and it could be argued whether the Thunder or Golden State are better with or without Durant, but it's clear that Durant lowers the individual success of high-level players around him. My thoughts on this is that Durant shouldn't be with Curry or Westbrook, or LeBron, or Harden, or Leonard for that matter. 2 MVP-type players shouldn't play on the same team. Before Durant left the Thunder, I could see it wasn't working out with Westbrook. Before Durant left, Westbrook got really good, and I could see that 2 players of that level couldn't really get along together. But when Durant went to Golden State, it didn't fix anything. There's about 25 teams without a player of this level, and he had to go to one of the few that did? It doesn't make much sense. The talent needs to be distributed throughout the NBA, not centered on one team. Going back to the argument that team success is the most important thing, Golden State isn't much better this year. How could you get much better than 73 season wins and 1 game away from the championship? Golden State felt that they had to make some major changes after that. In my opinion, Durant doesn't belong on Golden State. He's hurting Curry by being there. He's probably giving him a slightly higher chance at a championship, but that's a big price for Curry to pay for how much Durant has set him back. But back to the topic. What's responsible for Curry's decline this year? Well, Durant is somewhat responsible for his lower points and fewer shots. But remember in the beginning I said there were 3 possible explanations? The first one is luck, the second one is Durant, and the third one is as follows. Curry's season last year was just about the best anyone could ever ask for. Is it really realistic for him to maintain that level? He can't be the unanimous MVP every year. His team can't break season win records every year. Curry has lower attempts, but he also has lower percentages. It's hard to blame Durant for that. Durant is part of the problem, but the problem would still exist even if Durant never came. After Curry did so amazing last year, we hold him to such a high standard, really an impossibly high standard. He's not a bad player this year by any means. My conclusion is that Curry wouldn't have replicated his MVP season no matter what, but Durant further worsened the issue and made it more noticeable. I know this video hasn't been all that positive for Durant, so I want to clarify that I completely respect his ability as a player and have always thought of him as being an important part of the NBA. What I disagree with was his decision to go to Golden State, but it's only because I think it wasn't the best for him, for any player on Golden State, or for the team in general. I may talk more about this in a future video. Tell me if you'd like to see that. I just mention it here because I don't want to appear too harsh on Durant. And I don't want to appear too harsh on Curry either. He had an amazing year, followed by an above average year. Next year he may make a great recovery and turn back to the level of his MVP season. Or maybe he won't. Actually, he probably won't as long as Durant's still around. But he may get a little better. Or if he just stays at this level, that's fine too. Curry is easily one of the best players out there, and I'm guessing he will be for many years. Let me know in the comments any thoughts you have on Curry, on Durant, on Golden State. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching. If you like this video and want to see more in a similar style, be sure to subscribe by clicking the logo so you know when I upload a new one.